This vid is about how to use the Oregon, Tecomec, and clone type grinders to lower the depth gauges on a chainsaw chain. Here's a freshly ground cutter. The yellow lines show the depth gauge height versus the cutter height. This is my favorite tool for checking the depth gauges. It's a Husqvarna roller guide. This is a more common and less expensive tool for checking depth gauges. It lacks the 10-degree slope that I try for, but it will work fine. First, I like to set the chain vise to 0 degrees. Dress the 1/4 or 5/16 inch wheel perfectly flat. Dressing it at an angle will give you a wider cutting surface. I prefer to cut the top of the depth gauge to a 10 degrees angle. Here's how to do it. Place a Stihl or Oregon chain tool on the top plates. Loosen the side plate angle adjuster and set it so that the cutting surface fits parallel on top of the tool. Retighten slightly and raise the wheel. Readjust the side plate index to 10 degrees less. Next, adjust the chain stop so that the wheel's cutting surface is positioned over the depth gauge. Using the cutter depth screw, lower the wheel until it just touches the top of the cutter. Grinding wheels are never perfectly round, so spin the wheel with your fingers to find the lowest point. After that, lower the wheel just a tiny amount by turning the adjustment screw a few degrees. Remember to go slow here. You can always grind more metal away, but you can't put it back. Check with your depth gauge tool. Repeat this until the depth gauge is the correct height. Only grind one side at a time. To do that, move up the cutters 2 at a time. After completing the first side, move your chain up 1 cutter instead of 2. Readjust the depth screw, checking with your depth gauge tool. You can see I use a Husky roller guide. It not only checks the correct cutter height, but also shows the ideal angle, like an old philo plate.